Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into AI inference. You know that tricky part where you take a brilliant AI model from the lab and actually make it work in the real world? It's a whole different ballgame.
All right, before we jump in, just a quick note. This is Module 7 of a much bigger tutorial. So think of this as general information, not specific legal or technical advice. And as we're going to talk about later, licensing is, well, it's complicated. So definitely chat with your own pros before you make any big moves.
Okay, so let's get right to it. If you've ever worked with AI, you know this pain. Training the model, that's one thing, but serving it in production, that's a completely different game. So how do you actually win?
To really get a handle on this, we've got to understand why it's so different. A lot of people think AI inference is just training light, but that's not it at all. The goals, the workloads, what it asks of your GPUs, it's all fundamentally different.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. I love this analogy. Training is a marathon. It's this long, heavy-duty process to build one amazing model. But inference? That's a series of sprints, thousands of them, over and over all at once. The name of the game here is speed, what we call low latency, and just handling a massive number of requests, or high throughput.
Okay, so if the demands are so different, how do we meet them?
Well, it really boils down to picking the right strategy, or what we call a deployment pattern. Let's break down the 3 main ways you can match your tech to what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, you can pretty much sort any inference job into one of these 3 buckets. Think of them like different tools in your toolbox. Each one is built for a specific kind of job and has its own strengths.
First up, real-time inference. The name says it all, right? This is where every single millisecond counts. We're talking about things like self-driving cars or live fraud detection. You need an answer right now. And because of that, you absolutely need dedicated GPU power. If you try to share a GPU, you can get these little unpredictable delays. We call it jitter. And for these kinds of apps, that's a total deal breaker.
Then you have the total opposite, batch inference. Here, it's not about how fast one request is. It's about chewing through a huge pile of data as efficiently as possible. This is your classic run it overnight kind of job, like analyzing a day's worth of images. Since you're not in a rush, you can use things like virtual GPUs or vGPUs to slice up a physical GPU and run a bunch of jobs at once. It's a fantastic way to get more bang for your buck from your hardware.
And the third pattern is model serving. This is probably the one you interact with the most, even if you don't realize it. It's what's behind the scenes when a web app gives you a recommendation or translates text. It's all done through an API. Now, your tech choice here really depends on how beefy your model is. A simple little model can probably get by just fine on a shared vGPU. But a giant large language model? No way. It's going to need its own dedicated resources to perform well.
So, you've picked your pattern. Great, but you're not done yet. GPUs are expensive, right? To really squeeze every last drop of performance out of them, we need to talk about optimization.
And you basically got 2 big levers you can pull here. You can either change the model itself, make it smaller and faster, or you can change the infrastructure, make it smarter about how it handles the work. Let's look at both sides of that coin. So, on the model side of things, there are some really cool tricks. You've got quantization, which is basically using simpler numbers to do the math faster. Pruning is like trimming a plant. You snip away the parts of the model that aren't doing much. Distillation is where you train a smaller student model to act just like a big, cumbersome teacher model. And then there's compilation, which optimizes the model's code to run like a dream on your specific hardware. All of these are designed to make your model leaner and faster.
Now for the infrastructure. One of the most powerful tools here is dynamic batching. Think of it like a carpool lane for your data. Instead of sending each request in its own car, you wait a tiny fraction of a second, group a bunch of them together, and send them through all at once. It's way more efficient and can give you a massive boost in throughput. You can also do things like cram multiple models onto one GPU, or for a truly huge model, split it up across several GPUs.
Okay, now we need to talk about the thing nobody likes to talk about, but it can absolutely make or break your project. I'm talking about software licensing.
And here's the kicker. It's not just one license. Every single piece of your setup, the GPU drivers, the hypervisor, the AI framework, it all has its own licensing rules. This isn't just a boring legal thing. These choices can have a huge impact on your costs and how easily you can change things down the road.
Right. You really have to look at the whole stack. You've got the GPU vendor's license, then the license for your inference server, the optimization tools, your Kubernetes or VMware platform. Every layer adds another piece to this licensing puzzle, and you have to make sure they all fit together.
Which brings us to the big question you have to ask yourself.
Because this isn't just about picking the fastest, flashiest tech, it's a balancing act. So when you're building out your AI infrastructure, the real challenge is this. How are you going to balance the need for performance right now with the long-term demands of cost, scalability, and all those licensing complexities? How do you build something that's not just fast today, but smart for tomorrow?